Hello everyone and welcome back to askNK. So, Keyshot 8.1 Pro has been released and it's been an amazing ton of improvement that has been done. Oh my goodness, these guys, they've done a lot of work, and impressively, once you check out the release notes, you get to see how much bugs they fixed. There's so much that I even didn't think about that was a bug for some people, but I get to find out that they actually considered a lot of things, which is really nice. I mean, if companies could go out of their way like this and fix a ton of stuffs like this, it would really help. Now, it's not the fixing of the bugs that was the problem, or the improvements that they've amazing improvements, by the way, that they've made. That is the highlight of today. The highlight of today is Keyshot 8.1 is out, and there's just a couple of things that has been put into place. If you remember from the last video which we talked about, where I talked about the Keyshot 8, the Keyshot 8 Pro, when it came out, there were quite some things which I felt that should be in Keyshot, and it's amazing that maybe they saw the video, maybe they didn't, but a couple of feedback came in and out, and they've actually implemented the fact that you can now export PSD files directly from your still images, or export PSD files directly from Keyshot as either animation frames or maybe even as a configurator outputs. It's amazing. The fact that you can just get 16-bit PSD files is cool. So let me go into Keyshot. This is Keyshot. So let's talk about how you can do that. So let's say you're done with your animation on this workspace here, right? Then you go over to the render, and just directly under here you can just go ahead and switch this. This is amazing. This is amazing. I'm not so much of a fan of a white screen, of the whole white thingy, so I'm just going to go ahead and switch this to black. So if you love the white, you can just keep it going. But now let's talk about the new features, the new stuff they've added into this. They're not so much, about 5 of them. So let's see if we can remember all of them and just talk about them real quick. So the first one which we've seen is that you can export PSD files. And the next one is, if you permit me for a minute, we can come in and add a couple of objects here. So let's just go and add some object. I think I added the same one twice. I'm going to go and add a rounded cube. Okay, so stuff like this, and now we need to switch to default. Okay, so basically switch to default like this. You have every single thing you want to make use of. So next thing I will do is I will just simply okay this, yes, then select this and also try to move it around. So I'm going to select the move tool and just simply move this. Use any universal scale at any point to scale your object. It's quite helpful to just simply use the universal scale to do that all the time. I mean, instead of coming through and just putting all the scale numbers here. Okay, these are basic stuff you should know. I know. Okay, so one of the features now is, once you are in your in view and you have this object selected, you can right click now and just invert your selection. Thank you. You can invert your selection. So this was not available previously, but now you can just simply do that. So this is one of those things that you think about it in a larger scale. For example, if you have a car, and let's say you just want to select just the you want to hide just the glass, and you want to keep every other part, it's quite easy now, because all you have to do is just select just that glass, and then you can hide the remaining parts of the car. Amazing. It works for every other single thing. So instead of coming over to the tree and you know keep closing and then go ahead to open what you want, you can just simply do that real quick. Or if you don't know, you can also hold down Alt and click just to isolate your object. Okay, so this has been available for a while, so just in case you don't know, this is available as well. So these two new features are amazing. Let's move on. So the next one which you would see is something that has to do with the UI. So I'm just going to, you know, like what we talked about now, hold Alt, click this, and just have only this one in the viewport. So we are going to look at the UI. So the UI has been overworked a little bit more, and for this I will choose to just simply add a very simple Yeah, something like this. So I'm just going to add this, select this, and just move this a little bit above the floor so that we have this in place. So if we double click this object now and go into the material graph, let me just drag this here. If we go into the material graph, I want you to notice that this the shaders now have a certain UI representation. This UI representation is just to make you know that you're now working with a shader. The difference is once you right click and go over to materials and click something like the diffuse, it still has the default diffuse thingy, but once you apply a shader or you drag in something like this, you see it has this stuff. Okay, so if you add a material that has all of the shading done inside, you can just see something like this. Okay, so this is also one improvement from the UI, but we've not gotten to the juicy part yet. The juicy part is once you go over to the new geometry that has been added in Keyshot 8 and improved, I have to say that, and improved in Keyshot 8.1 Pro, and you apply something like the displacement, which is actually one of the fun ones I like making use of. You would notice that it has its own UI representation now. So wherever you are in Keyshot, once you get to see this, like here, you know that there's a displacement that is attached to this object. So let's just quickly attach a displacement. Let's attach a texture map and see how this holds up. So I'll come through and add spots, which is really nice. Then I will just simply connect this spot here and connect this over to the geometry tab. And there you go. You notice, just like in the previous Keyshot 8, that you don't have anything happening automatically. This is just simply because you haven't double clicked here and executed the node. But now there is this new UI in view indicator, like it's called, that you can now automatically refresh this instead of using this button all the time. So maybe you're working and you just made a couple of changes and you forget to click on this button to make sure that maybe click on this button to get it going. You can always see that notification somewhere here. So if we keep this at let's say 0.01, let's make this 0.01, press enter, and then simply just execute this command. We would see that it will go ahead and generate a displacement for this object and position it there. So this seems to be a bit smaller, so we're going to just simply add 0.1 might be a very good catch. So let's still use the new feature which we have and see how this looks. Okay, fine. So you can now see that there is some sort of displacement going around in the object that we have. This may vary based on what texture you're using and what the texture looks like. It may totally vary. So this is one feature you should take a good look at. We would talk about these things in other subsequent videos. I would also talk about it in an upcoming video which you would see later in time. The next one which we'll have is also working with the HDRIs. So the HDRIs are also one of those things that most of us have always wanted to see how Keyshot can make it better, and they have constantly made it better. So I just deleted that node. Let's refresh this and go back to what we have. Initially there was no editor in the HDRI section or environment section in Keyshot, but now you can have an editor. There was an editor in the previous version, but in the earlier versions there was none. So now there is an editor now. And what this simply tells you is you can now come in and, you know, add as much stuff as you want, change as much stuff as you want, edit your HDRI to suit your need. So the new update to this one is also an in-view update, which simply means that once you crunch the contrast of your HDRI, or let's say you increase the brightness of your HDRI, all you'd see, instead of going back and forth to generate a full resolution HDRI, all you need to do is just click on this button and automatically it's going to just go ahead and update itself on the fly. These are very, very nice little things that has been put into place. There is so much more that has also been worked around. So if you have a license, you can go ahead and get Keyshot 8.1. If you don't, you can download it for free on the website and you can try it. Just go over to Luxion and download it. I'll put all of these descriptions down. I'll put all of these links down in the description. And also, if you are very keen on knowing what was updated and how the update went, you can also see the link to the description somewhere down. You can also see the link somewhere in the description as well. So what are you guys thought about this? Actually, one more thing before we go is, I was really thinking if it is possible for the guys at Luxion to make keyframing a bit more better. If it's possible for them to put keyframes so that you can just import your files from wherever you are and keyframe them directly inside here, and not keyframing them from a third-party app and bringing it here, that would do us a lot of good. Another thing which I would love to see in the next update or in the next release of Keyshot is if it is also possible for them to allow FBX that has animations to be imported directly inside and the animation plays. I've also been able to play around with the cache, and the Alembic cache is working perfectly fine now. I've also been able to play around with the workflow between different DCC apps, and they work properly. They work really fine now. So these are what I think. What are your comments about this? What do you think about this new update? Do you think they've done a lot of work? Tell me what you think in the comment section below, or you could go over to the community and make a post and talk about, and let's have a conversation. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to share with your friends. And if you're new here and you're not subscribed, I would really appreciate it if you click on the subscribe button and also turn on notification so that you get updates whenever we make a new video like this, because we're going to make a lot more new videos like this. Coming up soon is going to be a video on how you can play with the new things that has been added to the displacement as well. So be sure to subscribe and look out for this channel, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.